But of everyone I've ever dated, you are probably in the top 10.
It's time to party like it's $29.99 because Futurama's back on Hulu. To celebrate this beloved sci-fi comedy classic surviving yet another cancellation, we're here to take a look at an aspect of the series that often gets overlooked. Everyone loves Futurama's witty writing and nerdy referential humor, but the show also packs a ton of heart to go with its interstellar deliveries. Today we'll be focusing in on the show's many romantic relationships in particular, to see which deserve to have their love written out in the heavens, and which are so noxious that they should be stuck onto a big ball of trash and shot into space. I'm Keefe Nosy with Wicked Binge, and today I'll be ranking the romantic relationships of Futurama from healthy to toxic. As always, we're going to be starting with the healthiest pairs before working our way down to the relationships that could use some work, to say the least. These pairs are the healthy. Our gold medal for the healthiest relationship in Futurama goes to one of its most unexpected yet heartwarming couples, Dr. Zoidberg and Marianne. Zoidberg's been dogged by bad luck in love, and in just about everything else, throughout the show's entire run, so it's a very welcome change of pace to see the most neglected member of the Planet Express crew finally find some happiness. Marianne is a florist who's born without the ability to smell. This turns out to be a stroke of luck as she's able to appreciate Zoidberg's bravery and charm without being turned off by the stench of alien pheromones and garbage that he's constantly emitting. What really wins these two the gold is their mutual selflessness. Zoidberg agrees to give Marianne a nose transplant so that she can smell like she's always wanted to, even if it means she'll be repulsed by him in return. However, after the operation, Marianne discovers that she finds Zoidberg's smell even more fragrant than her flowers.
But I like the way you smell.
Marianne only appears in the penultimate episode of the show's run on Comedy Central, but we're hoping that we'll get to see more of her now that Futurama is on Hulu. The newest round of episodes has already been kind to the series' most heavily featured healthy couple, and the winners of our silver medal, Kif and Amy. Ever since their fateful meeting late in season 1, Lieutenant Croker has been drawn to Planet Express's klutzy research assistant. It takes him some time to work up the nerve to express his feelings, but he's thrilled to discover that Amy has taken a liking to him too, and is even game to roll with his often unusual alien biology and customs. This includes Kif being the one getting pregnant, with Amy agreeing to be his partner and a co-parent to his children despite the strange circumstances. The two have gone through some rough patches, spurred on by a combination of Amy's yearning for bad boys and Kif's tendency to be a doormat, but they always get back together and stronger than ever before. It's true what they say, you never forget your first smizmar. For a slightly less stable but more recognizably human healthy relationship, we can look to our bronze medal holders Hermes and La Barbara. It's touching to witness the two of them along with their son Dwight acting as the most stable family unit in the Planet Express crew, and to see how devoted La Barbara is to Hermes in spite of his shortcomings. She does have her limits, however, as seen in Bender's Big Score, where Hermes loses his body and La Barbara returns to her statuesque ex-husband Barbados Slim.
I hope you're ready to celebrate.
All night long.
She doesn't stick with the boastful homewrecker for long, though, proving that the sitcom staple trope of the ugly guy with the hot wife doesn't always have to resolve in dysfunction and mutual abuse. La Barbara's had her fun with Olympic athletes, but where else is she going to get a Rastafarian accountant who can throw together spontaneous musical numbers about the joys of bureaucracy? Rounding out the healthy tier is our last healthy couple, Fry and Amy, who've never stuck together for long, but who've been surprisingly mature about their lack of compatibility. They've pretended to date on 2 occasions to satisfy Amy's parents, and have even had a few genuine flings, but for the most part, Fry and Amy are comfortable remaining friends and co-workers, as each of them looks for love elsewhere. Given what we've seen with the other short-term relationships on this show, that's actually pretty remarkable. We've now come to the pairs that could use some work. These are the gray relationships. It doesn't get much grayer than Scruffy and his wash bucket. In what is truly one of the show's most bizarre romantic moments, it's revealed that Planet Express's surly maintenance staff of one person has long harbored a deep and abiding passion for his own robotic janitorial equipment. Human and Bucket finally get the chance to act on their forbidden feelings when the wash bucket's AI is transferred into Amy's body, but Scruffy displays remarkable restraint for a man known for casually perusing pornography while on the job. He understands that it wouldn't be right for him to take advantage of the situation, so he sends the wash bucket away. Scruffy's job might be all about boilers and toilets, but we hope that he can learn how to service a broken heart as well. Following a good flush down one of the janitor's toilets, we come to the happy sewer home of our next couple. Leela's parents, Morris and Munda, at first seem to be a loving and devoted pair, dedicated to giving their daughter the life on the surface that she deserves, even if that means she can't be with her family. But as the show spends more time with the mutant husband and wife, they begin to acquire more stereotypical traits of sitcom married couples. Morris and Munda increasingly show signs of comedic dysfunction, culminating in a temporary divorce. The two of them are seemingly happier apart, with Morris taking up his old dream of sewer surfing while Munda begins dating Zapp Brannigan, to Leela's horror. The two of them do eventually make up and reset their relationship back to the status quo, but this episode illustrates that old married couples can sometimes not understand each other very well, and may in fact be staying together only out of familiarity or their mutual love for their children. It is a good thing that Zapp revealed his true colors soon enough. We're not sure Leela could have survived having to call him Daddy. I didn't even like saying that. It's little wonder that Morris and Munda haven't been setting the best example for their daughter when it comes to stable relationships. Fry and Leela are Futurama's premier couple, and their decades-long will they won't they dynamic stands up there with all the most notorious romances of long-running sitcoms. But while Fry and Leela's relationship receives more attention than any other on the show, they're far from the most stable couple out there. Longtime fans will know that for every "the devil's hands are idle playthings" or "meanwhile," there's an "inagata de Leela" or "fun on a bun." The Comedy Central seasons especially love to see these two break up and get back together over and over. Just how many times can Leela get fed up with Fry's lack of emotional maturity before she calls it quits for good? What's even worse is that Fry and Leela have been through so much together over the course of Futurama's run. They've gotten married in several continuities, had sex multiple times including while in other people's bodies, survived apocalyptic scenarios and near-death experiences, and even spent an entire lifetime together while the universe remained frozen around them. We couldn't place these two anywhere else but near the center of our list. Time will tell if the Hulu episodes bring some much-needed stability to the world of tomorrow's very own Jim and Pam. There's less hope for Lur and Inda, yet another one of the show's dysfunctional married couples. Much like Morris and Munda, these Omicronians embody the typical comedic henpecked husband and nagging wife, but we're ranking them even lower on account of one minor but very important distinction. As everyone knows, Lur is a ruler of the planet Omicron Persei 8, and he and his wife share a love of needless violence and destruction. It's even a big part of what makes their relationship work, as seen when Inda kicks Lur out because he'd been getting tired of conquering planets for her.
Yes, Inda. I heard you the first 100 times.
With a rocky marriage plagued by issues in bed, as well as a general lack of communication, Lur and Inda present serious threats to each other and to the victims of their many conquests. They do manage to stay married through and raise at least one child past the larval stage, so we couldn't quite place them in the toxic category. Now it is time for the relationships that are pretty concerning. These are as toxic as they come. First up comes one that has to hold the record for the longest running on-again, off-again relationship in world history. Fry and Michelle had been dating in 1999, but Michelle bluntly called things off on New Year's Eve by informing Fry that she was dating someone else and that she was kicking him out. Judging by Fry's later reaction to the realization that his ex-girlfriend was long dead by the year 2999, he wasn't too broken down about it. That should have been the end of this toxic mess, but Michelle's dissatisfaction with her life in the 21st century leads her to cryogenically freeze herself just as Fry had. She wakes up in 3002, and from there, Michelle and Fry fall right back into their old habits. But Michelle doesn't fare well in the 31st century either, and she eventually prods Fry back into the cryogenics tube for another chance at a new start. Between Michelle's nagging and infidelity and Futurama's general zaniness, that goes about as well as you'd expect, and Fry is left dumped by his old girlfriend for a second time. Fry's better off just letting Pauly Shore deal with her.
"'Tis better to have loved than lost, n'est-ce pas?"
It's too bad that Michelle is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to relationships with lead characters. Fry and Leela and their many respective horrible one-off relationships are next. These two have had abysmal luck when it comes to dating, typically because the writers have been not so subtly nudging the two of them together with a trail of failed relationships showing just why they're definitely meant for each other. Whether it's a doctor who wants to give Leela a second eye, causing her to appreciate Fry for liking her the way that she is, or a polyamorous girlfriend teaching Fry that he doesn't like to share. These single episode couples exist to bolster the show's main pair. Sometimes these relationships fail because of poor communication or simple logistics, like when Fry isn't sold on the details of mermaid sex, or when Leela dates a more mature but ultimately doomed time paradox duplicate of Fry. Whatever the case, we had to collectively rank these trysts fairly low on the list. Fry and Leela may not be the healthiest nor most stable couple themselves, but things get a whole lot more toxic whenever one of them tries to look for love outside of the main cast. We're not even touching on the worst of the lot here, like Leela falling for an alien catfishing scam, or the affair that resulted in Fry becoming his own grandpa. Yikes!
Of course she's your grandmother, you perverted dope!
But how could any of those disastrous states compete with Leela dealing with the fallout from the world's worst one-night stand? We have to be clear here that Leela and Zapp Brannigan have never been in a relationship, and if one exists, it's only in Zapp's wildest delusions. She takes pity on the star captain and sleeps with him in season 1, which will go down as one of Leela's biggest mistakes in the show's entire run. From that point onward, the egotistical Zapp never misses a moment to bring up Leela's supposed attraction to him. him, attempting to seduce her back into bed with him. Not even physical violence will deter him for long, even though Leela's more than happy to dole it out. Unexpectedly, the pair's dynamic is somewhat reversed during the Comedy Central seasons, with Leela forcing herself on a now more reluctant Zapp on 2 occasions. Not because she finds the guy any less repulsive, granted, but either because she's trying to save the Earth or trying to stop Zapp from dating her mother. This pair just keeps plumbing new depths of over-the-top toxicity with every one of their ill-fated encounters. Zapp's captain's log must be filled with solo appointments to a very tired couples counselor. But where could anyone turn when everyone in existence is facing the exact same relationship woes? That's what becomes of the universe itself in The Beast with a Billion Backs, courtesy of Yivo, in an encounter that claims our bronze medal of toxicity. This omniscient, planet-sized entity from another dimension somehow falls in love with the entirety of Futurama's universe at once? Shklee inserts Shkler tentacles into every living being in the universe, and it's only later discovered that these tentacles are in fact Yivo's genitals, and that the being in essence has sexually assaulted billions upon billions of life forms all at the same time? To Yivo's credit, Shklee soon realizes what a massive violation this is and resolves to do things properly. Shklee takes everyone out on a date and later proposes marriage. This idyllic prospect is ruined, however, when the enraged robots of the universe, who'd been left out of Yivo's proposal, assault the creature and show that Fry had inadvertently been the one to hand the robots the means to hurt Yivo. Only Fry's polyamorous ex-girlfriend proves faithful enough to remain in a relationship with Yivo, and despite everything Shklee did to make up for Shkler's original assault, we're left with the thought that the breakup was probably for the best. Yivo might be one giant metaphor for heaven, but Shkler's invasive approach to relationships is nothing short of hell for any of its victims who wouldn't be down with loving the tentacle. Yivo might have some questionable ideas about consent, but at least Shklee seems to have good intentions. That's not the case with our final 2 entries, starting with our silver medal holder, fittingly, the similarly colored Bender, for every relationship he's ever had. Not unlike a certain Eric Cartman, Bender's toxicity has been a major contributing factor in his breakout popularity, but it goes without saying that his selfish and amoral antics do not bode well for his romantic endeavors. Whether he's living out a Titanic parody, seducing the Planet Express's ship computer, fooling around with the wife and daughter of a mafia don, or even scamming a soap opera star as a fembot, Bender's only ever looking out for his own shiny metal ass. Where anyone else would see a scandal, Bender sees only a challenge. He's been known to pursue relationships only to drop them once they lose their thrill, as seen when he dates Amy, but then dumps her once robosexual marriage is legalized. While the mechanics of robotic relationships are never all that clear, seeing as how, for example, Bender once manages to conceive a child with a soda machine, he nonetheless displays some very recognizably human toxic traits in all of his relationships. Self-serving, self-destructive, and negligent to a fault, Planet Express's resident bending unit is always on the lookout for radical, new ways to violate his and every other robot's warranties. If there are people out there in the world of Futurama worse than Bender when it comes to romantic relationships, it would be the diabolic duo of Professor Farnsworth and Mom. These two easily claim the gold medal of toxicity. Not only have they been abusing and manipulating each other on and off for decades, but their long-running affair has had dire consequences for the world at large. Mom has turned the professor's inventions into weapons of war, setting up her company's global dominion through the power of omnipresent Mom Corp robots. Farnsworth's not much better, agreeing to seduce his old flame for the sole purpose of putting a stop to her rampaging robots.
Mommy needs that bra to end the robot rebellion.
The two have even had a child together, although poor Ignor is just as abused as his brothers and wasn't even aware of his father's identity until Bender's game. What really sets this match made in hell apart from all the other dysfunctional couples in Futurama is that at no point does it seem like there's much to their connection beyond basic lust. Were there anything more to this union of a mad scientist and a mad corporate executive, they'd likely be a healthier couple, but the world around them would be even more doomed in their hands. Who knew the toxicity could be a good thing?